Recording, Sharon. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit full screen. Okay, I'm very pleased to welcome Elaine Farabee with the Ohio National Guard. She has 35 years of contracting experiences buying goods and services for the National Guard. So she's going to give us a presentation today on how your business can get started with the National Guard, goods and services that National Guard buys, and then just general information about contracting with National Guard. So before we get started with that, I am Jill Nagy Reynolds with the SBA Columbus District Office. If those of you that are not presenting could please mute your lines and turn off your cameras so that Elaine can focus on the presentation. You are welcome to ask questions during the presentation, and we will read them to her at a time that she's not like mid-sentence. So we'll try and make sure that we're not, because I always lose my thought if I'm cut off mid-sentence. So we will go ahead and get started. So I'm not sure, Jane, would you like to say a few words about PTAC or Sharon?
Well, Sharon's not unmuting, so I guess I will. Hello, everybody. Thanks, Jill. PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Center. PTAC is funded by the Department of Defense, the Ohio Department of Development, and locally the Ohio University. Our sole mission in life is to help companies with their government contracting efforts. We can assist in many ways, including we have a daily bid matching program where we can locate opportunities, and then you'll receive an email of that opportunity. Then we can help you with the bidding or proposal development process. We can assist with the various socioeconomic certifications, the 8A program, veteran verification, hub zone. We can help with certifications. On a federal level, SAM, the System for Award Management, is the absolute requirement, and we can help you with your SAM registration. We can also assist with marketing, helping you to create a capability statement for your business. A capability statement is a one-page, who you are, what you are, how you do it, who you've done it for, and why you're fabulous. It can be a very, very important marketing tool, and you definitely want a good capability statement ready for attending the Matchmaker event. The best part of all of our services is we are free because we are federally funded. There is no cost for any of the services, the daily services that we provide. There can be a fee for certain events and things like that, but our general services are all at no cost to the small business. I will put our email or our website in the chat. There are PTAC offices all over the state of Ohio, as well as all over the country that you can reach out to for assistance. With that, I guess that's all I have. Please put them in the chat, and I will do my best to get them all answered. So thank you. I think you're going to enjoy today's presentation, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions. Back to you, Jill.
All right, thank you so much, Jane. So without further ado, I will go ahead and introduce Elaine Farabee. She is a supervisory contracting officer with the Ohio National Guard. I've had the pleasure of working with her for the last 10 years. So I tell everyone that I come across any small business that the National Guard really walks the walk in terms of being very intentional about working with small business, not just small business that have done government contracts, but small businesses that are new to government contracts. So it has been a real pleasure to work with the National Guard over the years and to help businesses grow with the help of the National Guard. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Elaine.
Okay, thanks, Jill. Everyone can hear me okay? If not, I'm not sure how you tell me no, but I'll just go ahead and get going.
I can
So
hear
my
you.
name's Elaine Fair. Okay, my name's Elaine Farabee. I work for the Ohio National Guard. Now, the Ohio National Guard, we're a real confusing organization because there's part federal and it's part state, right? So you've got two contracting offices. I work in the federal one. The state one is a different one. That's Jeff Pruitt and that crowd. So if you come across any of their state contracting, we're federal. Also, we have Army and Air, and I'm responsible for both the Army contracting office, which I sit in, and then the 4 bases across the state of Ohio. They're all air, but ultimately all their contracting authority goes through my office. So we're a federal organization, which means we follow with the SBA, and we have goals for how much small business we're supposed to do, and that's how Jill and I met, was through, actually I think you were with the PTAC when we first met. But anyway, so my name, I'm a supervisory contract specialist. There's my phone number and there's my email, and I love talking to small businesses. So next slide. This is all of the Air Guard bases across the state and their local base contracting officers. So Rickenbacker's in Columbus, the 178th is in Springfield, the 179th is in Mansfield, the 180th is in Toledo. So technically Mansfield and Toledo belong to the Cleveland SBA, but because all of their stuff runs through the office here in Columbus, sometimes I know the Columbus SBA has been known to help them out, but mostly they go through Cleveland. And there's their names, their phone numbers, and their emails. They are also very happy to talk to small businesses. Next slide. So we already talked about this a little bit already. We're state and federally funded, the Ohio National Guard is. Some of our money comes from the Fed, some of our money comes from the state. We, all of the USPFO, which stands for United States Property and Fiscal Office, people are like, what does that mean? So it's every state has a USPFO. There's 54 of them across the United States, and it's the guy that the Army puts in charge of all the money that they give to the National Guard to help run their National Guard. So that's the short and sweet. It's way more complicated than that, but that's what we tell people because it's way more complicated than that. Anyway, so everyone has a federal purchasing office and a state purchasing office. Most of the construction on the Army side is at the training sites because they're all federally funded. So James A. Garfield, which is in Newton Falls or Ravenna, Camp Sherman, which is in Chillicothe, and then Camp Perry, which is up at Port Clinton. The Air Guard side, on the other hand, does almost all of their construction through the federal side. So there's a little bit of state, but not so much because they don't have armories. The state are responsible for armories. So if you see something in the God, I can't remember the name of it. The people that the BX is what they used to be called. For an armory, it's probably state. But if you can call me, I can point you in the right direction. State does, lawn care, minor maintenance, custodial, grounds maintenance, and they're specifically tasked with armories. So next slide. And if I talk too fast, please let me know because I'm famous for it. So a lot of federal stuff that does come our way, we do environmental services, spill cleanup. Some of our bases are incredibly old. Ravenna's been around since 1941 and was originally a place where they built bombs. So there's all kinds of weird chemicals that they still come across up there. So we get a lot of environmental projects. We do general construction through the MilCon project process, but more we do renovations and just fixing up the buildings that we already have. We do some prefab buildings, but we generally do those through GSA because it's technically a service contract. We're working on a new MATOC. I know you've heard that before. If you've been to one of my presentations, we've been working on a new MATOC for quite a while, but it's a long and arduous process. And that's all I can say about that. So we hope to have a new MATOC, and this is just for construction, in 2022, probably end of 2022. But The solicitation hasn't gone out yet, so if you're a construction contractor, keep your eye on SAM because that's where it'll be. Architect engineering services, we buy quite a bit of that as well. But that was all done at our higher headquarters up at NGB. They have national IDIQs, and they are currently working on a new set of contracts. The last one was from like 16, and we used the heck out of those, and now they're empty, so they're putting together new ones. So if you're a 8A or a small business A&E, keep your eye on SAM because that's where all that information will be as well. It'll just be NGB rather than USPFO for Ohio. Next slide. Services, we buy a lot of services because we're on demand and we need a lot of help getting everything done. So one of the things that the National Guard, we're a post-camp and station, right? So we buy food and portable latrines, so in and out. We have contractor employees to do things, the hard things like keeping medical records, case managing, family programs. We use Ability One when we can for services and supplies. And for computer stuff, we generally don't buy we don't buy it off the open market. Let try and say that right. So both the Air Guard or the Air Force and the Army have these big IT contracting programs. It's called AFWA for the Air, and it's called CHESS, Army CHESS. Don't Google CHESS because you won't get that. So if that's what your company sells is computer or IT stuff, support services, that's who you want to be talking to about getting a contract. And then you're not just talking to just the Ohio National Guard, you're talking to the 54. So AFWA and for Air and CHESS for the Army, and also those will be on SAM. I know the CHESS contracts come out of Fort Huachuca, which is in Arizona. I'm not sure where the AFWA comes out of. Maybe right, Pat. I'm not sure. And then on the supplies, we buy furniture, we buy raw food for our cooks to cook, and supply items not available through any of the supply systems because that's our first choice for supply chain management is to get it through the government systems already. And if it's not available there, then we go out and buy it. So we buy things like recruiting giveaways or trying to think some of the other things that we've bought. We buy a lot of computer stuff, but that's obviously through the CHESS system. Yeah, mostly post-camp and station is what we're buying. So it's just the stuff that the Ohio National Guard needs on a day-to-day basis to keep us moving forward. Next slide. So this is how we go about doing it. Anything supply-wise up to $10,000 is we use the GPC, and that's held in the field. It's not held in the contracting office. So the cardholders and the billing officials out in the field are the ones who are responsible for making sure that their needs are met following all the rules. So that supplies under 10, services under $2,500, and construction under 2,000. And the reason for those two weird numbers on the back end is services are you're required to use the Service Contract Act of 1965, and to this day, even though it was written in 1965, the limit is still $2,500. Construction is Davis-Bacon. That $2,000 amount was put together in 1935, and the government hasn't updated it yet. So someday those will be fixed, and we won't have to do, well, though I don't know how much construction you can get for $2,000. So anyway, those are weird numbers. Anything from $10,000 to $15,000, we can do oral solicitations. It's not a very big window, but we can call 3 people on the phone and say, hey, I need this. Can you give me a price? Anything over $15,000, we have to put out on what used to be Fed Biz Ops and now called Contract Opportunities, and it's part of the SAM umbrella. So you go to the SAM website, and there's all these programs that are under the SAM. So that's the link for the contract opportunities. It just take you straight there. And also we use GSA because it's easy to get to. They have eBuy is their electronic quote system. So we can get quotes from small businesses on GSA. And there's that link as well. So some things that we don't have to advertise if we decide that we're going to go, if we're going to set aside for a small business, a specific, like a service disabled veteran owned or an economically disadvantaged woman owned small business. It's got a crazy acronym. So we don't have to post it on contract opportunities. If we use an IDIQ like a MATOC, we don't have to do it there. An IDIQ like GSA, we don't have to do it there. So there's reasons why because even if you put it out for advertising and only certain people can bid on it, then you're in a, so they just take away that requirement altogether for advertising. Next slide. That's the most important thing. Like Jane said, system for award management is the main go-to system, and they've buried a bunch of stuff, and not buried. They've put a bunch of stuff in there, where all your certifications, your reps and certs that say, yeah, I'm not a dirtbag, or I don't buy Chinese technology, or whatever their clause of the day is. So you go there, you have to be registered, and you have to make sure that all your certifications are up to date, and otherwise we're not going to be able to reach out and touch you. So it's very important to us that you be in SAM so we can do business with you. And then another place that you have to go, so that's on the front end. That's how you get a government contract. And then the next one is to register in the wide area workflow system. That's how you get paid. So you got to be registered in both. If you're registered in SAM, great. If you're not registered in wide area workflow, we can't get you the money because it has to be electronic, all payments. So you have to have both to be able to go from beginning to end with a contract. Next slide. So the SAM manages, their category management is through the NAC system, right? So you have to know what your NAC code is, and there's millions of them out there, and there's some that might fit and there's some that might not fit, but somewhere, if you keep looking, is the one that's perfect for your business. So it's your main business goal, right? You sell portable latrines, so you want to find the portable latrines NACs, the one that you sell it. If you rent portable latrines, you want to find the NACs for renting of portable latrines because there's one of each. So it just depends on what your main business line is, and then that's the NACs you want to use. Even if you do also rent portable latrines and and do yard work, but you do way more portable latrines, pick the portable latrine one. Register in SAM, register in wide area workflow, and contact your local PTAC. They are amazing, Jane. I think you guys are just great. I was telling Jill yesterday, when I retire, I want to go work for the PTAC. So we've had so much.
We're going to hold you to that, Elaine.
Oh, okay. When we have, because the government gives us all these systems that we have to use, or that we have to make you use, right? We don't have to use them. We just have to make you use them. And we don't know how to do these things. We're on the other end of it. So the PTAC has been, particularly in that, and getting vendors, small vendors, through the different government systems, because there's entirely too many of them. I didn't say that out loud, but they can help you with that. And if they don't know, they'll find out and help you. So there's nothing finer than that. And okay, next slide. Now, if you're feeling brave, getting a schedule with GSA, it's not an easy process, but from what I understand, it's worth it. It takes a long time to actually do it, and they have on-ramps and off-ramps for contracts that are already existing, and if you find there's one out there that you sell that stuff for, you can get in contact with GSA. That second link there, the gsa.gov market to feds, tells you everything that you need to know and gives you all the links that you need if you want to do business with the GSA. So the easiest is if you're selling supplies of some sort. There are service contracts that we can get on GSA. That's usually how we buy most of our service contractors, and but the process is a little bit different, right? And then with supplies, obviously, you're giving them the price for one widget or whatever it is. And then on the services side, if that's what you do, you negotiate hourly rates. And that's how contracts are written, right? So the government says, I need 50 hours of whatever, and then they can do it off of GSA. So those GSA is a very large federal organization, and sometimes they act like it. So next slide. So a lot of people with the government particularly don't want to do best price anymore. So they feel like that lowest price means lowest guy on the totem pole, which is not, in my opinion, the true statement. But so the government said, okay, well, we're not going to buy stuff only by price. We're also going to buy stuff by value, right? So you have the best value process, which is a lot longer than just price. But the ordering activity can go out and look at the company, right? Look at their past performance. Look at if their particular widget does something that other widgets don't do. And there's a whole list of stuff in there that you can use to pick besides price. Now, I will tell you that usually with the best value contract, they'll give you the evaluation criteria, and price is always one of them. And price is usually the highest, because even though we'd like to buy the guy who's best at it, we still have to look at price. So a lot of times for us in the National Guard, it's delivery. Who can get it to us faster, right? So especially now with the supply chain issues that are going on out there, we don't use, this is for the whole federal government. This is actually right out of the FAR. So each contracting office is going to be different. National Guard, we're post-camp and station, right, Pat, they buy major weapon systems or, airplanes or whatever. So we're just a tiny little part of the federal government. So you won't see very many best value for us in the National Guard. You might see some, but not a whole lot. Next slide. Okay, so along with that best value comes the debriefing process, because you want to know why you didn't get the bid, right? Or, if it's not based on price, it's not obvious why you didn't get the bid anymore. So you have the right to ask the government, why didn't I get the bid? Now, what the government's going to tell you is how you did. They're not going to tell you how the guy you were up against did, right? That's considered proprietary information. Just like if he asked for a debriefing, we would tell him how he did. We would not tell him how you did, because that's your business, not his. So a lot of times for us in the National Guard, it's going to be it's going to come down to price in the end. And most of our debriefings are like that. You were ranked great, in the evaluation criteria, both of you, but you had the lower price, and that's going to be the debriefing. So you have the right to ask for it. Do it as soon as you know that you didn't get the bid, because you don't wait around on it. And if you have somebody who says, I'm going to give you a debriefing, get it in writing, because you don't want, because then it becomes he said, she said. So get it in writing. Ask for a written debriefing. That's the way I always do them. Just to protect everybody. Okay, next slide. This is more of the same. See, it's not going to include a point-by-point comparison of the debriefed offers against the other offers. It's going to be about your offer. That way you can improve it for the next time, is the point of it. So next slide. So this is what the buyers are looking for: delivery on time, fair and reasonable price of quality products. That's all we want. If we're getting what we paid for, that's truly all the government wants. We're not expecting you to bleed red, white, and blue for government. But you got to let us know, right? Open line of communications. If there's an issue, you got to let us know as soon as you know about it, because bad news doesn't get better with time. It gets bigger and uglier. So just, hey, this is what's going on. And if you see a bid and they say, I need this next week, you can call and laugh at them. That's perfectly okay. You can say, dude, you're not going to get that. this week or next week or whatever, especially in today's world with the supply chain the way it is. Right now we're having a heck of a time getting catered meals within a less than a 2-week period because you can't get the food. So that's if you don't tell us about it, we don't know about it. So if you see something in a solicitation and you know that it's impossible, you call us up right away and say, dude, you are funny. So let us know that this stuff's going on there. And then that gives us an ability to react. We just don't throw up our hands and say, well, we can't buy it then, right? And then nobody gets what they need. And that last line, this is another myth that I see a lot, is that people lowball it and then try and make up the difference on change orders. And that's, I haven't seen it for a long time. I think it's something that has kind of gone by the wayside. And if you're doing it, quit doing it, because it's not fair to yourself or to the government, because you'll get a bad rep. Anyway, next slide. Okay, I know we keep harping on this SAM thing, but if you're not in SAM and you're not properly in SAM, you will not be allowed to be awarded the contract. Even if you've got the best price and the best looking whatever widget that we're trying to buy, you need to be SAM registered for us to buy it from you. There are no more exceptions to that. There used to be, and this is where I'm going to show my age, 9/11, there were exceptions. Now there's not exceptions. We're 20 years later and it just doesn't happen anymore. Make sure your NACS is right, because your business size is determined by that code, right? So you can be a small business on a NACS, but on another NACS that's slightly similar, you might not be. So you want to make sure that that's right. We use SAM to look for vendors, so we don't. We use it as part of our market research. We use it as that's where we go. We don't keep bidders mailing lists anymore like we used to. That's all gone by the wayside. So we're looking for vendors in SAM by NACS code and size. So make sure you use your PTAC to make sure that you have the right NACS code for what it is that you're trying to sell to the government. Next slide. Harping on the SAM again. Make sure that you're in SAM. Make sure that you've got all your certifications listed. Make sure your NACS are right. Be responsive to solicitations. This is that whole either submit a bid or tell us why you didn't, right? And when you read the solicitation and it's not making sense, totally ask, because if it's not making sense to you, it may not be making sense to anybody, and we're just sitting here all fat, dumb, and happy thinking that nobody wants to bid on our stuff, and they can't. So, but we don't know that unless somebody tells us. The solicitation is going to tell you all the information that you need. What's most important? Price, technical, past performance. It's going to be a mix of those, or one of those, or two of those. So you should just make sure that your solicitation, that you're reading it, and that you're providing all the information that the solicitation is asking for. We just recently had a contract for raw food that went out. It was a pretty big one, and we asked for this very lengthy list of groceries in effect, and one of the guys gave us a list of condiments, and that's all he gave. And we're still to this day not quite sure why that's all he gave, because everyone else that supported, everyone else that put in a bid got the list right. And so obviously he didn't get the bid. I wonder why. So you just ask the questions if you're not sure as to what's going on, because that's a good thing for the government to know. And when you ask the question, we'll share it with everyone else so that other confused people will be able to answer. We can answer the questions for them too. Next slide. Matchmaking. You can talk. It used to be that you could talk in person, face to face. I know it's only been 2 years where we haven't been able to do that, but it was always, we would always go into these matchmaking events thinking, well, we need, whatever. One of them was a portable washing for a vehicle that you could pick up and take with you, and the environmental office needed it to make sure that vehicles were coming out of the field and they were able to rinse them down before they hit the road. So we went into the matchmaking event thinking, we need one of those things. We'll never find it here, but keep your eye out for it. And if there wasn't a guy there selling the exact thing that we were looking for. It was truly serendipity. I think that's the right word. Anyway, so it usually happens like that we go into the matchmaking event and we're looking for something because we've been doing market research. We're not getting very far with it. We're not quite sure what's going on, but a lot of times we'll go into these matchmaking events and the guy that we need is standing right there. So that's why we like the matchmaking events, obviously, because it's all about us. But and a lot of times, you know, there's going to be things that we just don't buy. Like we don't buy medical marijuana. No matter how much we want to, the National Guard does not buy medical marijuana. And if that guy keeps asking me, I'm just going to have to tell him no again. But there are things that maybe we need in the future, but we don't need it right now. But the buyer is going to know if we're going to use that in the future. And he can also get you hooked up with, well, this is where we bought it the last time. And this is when we'll probably solicit for it again, so that you'll have advance warning of when something's coming around. But make sure you're looking at contract opportunities under the SAM umbrella, and make sure you're looking at GSA if you have a GSA schedule, because every day something else goes out there, because those two there that are the biggest way you're going to get any kind of federal work at all. So make sure you're looking. I think next slide. Oh, wow, we're at the end. Do's and don'ts. Do get registered with SAM. I know it's beating a horse. Do reach out to the agency that you want to do business with to see if we use your product and service. And don't get offended if we don't. We just don't. So do keep your eye on contract opportunities in GSA. And okay, that's that market to feds link that we talked about earlier. If you're not on GSA and you want to be on GSA, you got to be talking to GSA, because they can help you do what you got to do to get on GSA. But do remember, it's a slog. It takes a while, but and obviously I don't have a GSA contract, but I've heard that it's worth it. So, and I think the last slide is coming up. It's a don't. Yeah. Don't let your SAM expire. There's not a whole lot on the don'ts here. And again, it's talking about the SAM. And don't not respond, right, to solicitations in a timely manner. Look at the solicitation. First thing you should be looking at is the due date, so that you know the due date in your head when that thing has to be turned in. Because that'll get you in trouble more than anything else, is not turning it in on time, because then you're late and we can't use it. And you did all that work just to be mad. So at yourself. So is there anything?
Let's see.
No, you're welcome.
Jane, do we have any questions in the chat? And Elena, your presentation style is always enjoyable, because you just tell it like it is. I just love it. I mean, I can just picture someone with a raw food contract just sending a condiment list, and everyone just scratching their head at the office, like, where did we go wrong with communicating this?
What the heck, dude? Yeah. And then he asked for a debriefing. We're like, well, you only gave us a condiment list. That was the best part. Okay.
The only question in here, you have links for the websites. And I think you did have links in previous slides, correct?
Yeah, they're in that slide presentation. I think they're going to make a PDF of this and post it someplace SBA-ish. But even if you have to copy and paste them, I don't know that the links work in this presentation, but it gives you, you can copy and paste it into your Google search, and that'll get you what you need.
It will be posted on the PTAC website, and I put the PTAC website in the chat. And I will do that again just to make sure everyone gets it. Okay.
Okay. Now my email address is only good until the end of December. So we don't know who's going to replace me yet. Well, I'd like to think no one's ever going to replace me, but they are going to hire somebody. So we'll have that information closer to the end of the year. Yeah, the end of December.
Well, yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. I think 37 years is plenty.
That is, and you mentioned you're gonna tour Europe and then maybe
Yes,
join,
I am.
see if something opens up with PTAC
Yeah, I know.
eventually.
So in May, I'm thinking by the time I get back from Europe, I'm gonna be ready for a job. So PTAC, here I come.
I thoroughly encourage you to consider adding Iceland to your itinerary. It's
Oh,
a
I've been. It was
beautiful-
lovely.
Oh, okay.
No, I've been. It was lovely. Yeah.
We have another question. Can you talk
Okay.
more about eBuy? Did a contractor create the software for that system?
Oh, you'd have to ask GSA about that one. I don't. Yeah, I don't have the details on that.
Right.
But eBuy is how GSA gets quotes, right? So the GSA sets up the contracts, and then all the federal agencies are able to use those contracts to make delivery orders off of. So that's the extent of. I don't have anything. I don't know how they built their system or what the platform was or any of that other stuff. So yeah, but I'm sure somebody at GSA knows. So that market to feds information would be able to get you the answer to that particular question. I'm sorry, I don't have the answer.
I would like to point out, though, PTAC can assist with helping companies get on GSA.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so that's an option to help companies get through that slog of a process.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see
Okay.
any questions right now.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
and-
I will. As soon as I get registered, I will be at the matchmaking event. I just haven't had a chance to get registered yet. So I look forward to meeting some of you in a face-to-face Teams meeting or a Zoom meeting or whatever they're using. And if you have something you think the National Guard wants, then please. I have to go register before you can make a meeting with me, but I'll do that.
Yeah, I know
today.
you'll get that done. And
I
if you have
swear.
any challenges with that, just let me know, Elaine.
Okay, I will. Thank
All right.
you very
Well,
much.
I don't see any further questions. I really appreciate your time today. And that's the beauty of these webinars. If they finish early, we finish early. So
Yeah,
we give
good
it
thing
2
because my
hours,
staff
but
meeting's in 15 minutes. We getting the link to
are we
this
getting the
webinar?
link to this webinar? Okay, so I can see the chat, Jane. I pulled it up. So the webinar recording is going to be available on the OU PTAC website. And Jane, at 1:39 p.m., if you look in the chat box, it has a link to the training videos. It takes about a week oh, there she goes. She put it in there. It takes about a week for it to be posted on the OU PTAC website, and it'll also be on the Ohio Business Matchmaker website. If you haven't registered to attend the Matchmaker, I highly recommend that you do that. It is Ohio's matchmaking event for the year. We have smaller ones, but this is definitely the biggest one that we do. It's our second year being virtual. Hopefully next year we can do it in person again. I think everyone is ready for that. So I have a question. What does GSA stand for?
General Services Administration. And by
And
the way, Cleveland canceled their matchmaker for this year. So this is the only one in the state. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they did. Because
Okay.
we were signed up for that too, and they canceled it.
Well, we are definitely still on. It's only in a couple weeks, actually. It's 2 weeks from today.
Yeah,
Is the
17,
first day
18.
of the Matchmaker. So
Yeah.
it's not as good as face-to-face, but it's the best we can do right now. So if you're able to, definitely attend. The other thing with GSA, it's its own federal agency. Not many people know about how big GSA is. So GSA has 2 parts. It has the public building service, which is they lease and own all federal buildings and lease agreements anywhere there's a federal person sitting in a federal chair. It's owned or leased by GSA. And then they're also responsible for the supply schedules. So that's Lane's made reference to GSA schedules. They're actually contracts There are contracts for mostly commercial off-the-shelf items. Your PTACs can definitely teach you a lot more about that, how to get on schedule. What we always recommend is find out if the agency that is your potential customer buys a lot from GSA, and then pursue a GSA schedule rather than just getting a GSA schedule, because it's a lot of time, a lot of energy to get that started and approved.
Mhm.
Okay, any other questions? All right, everybody. Well, I'll just go ahead and conclude it. I hope that everyone has a wonderful afternoon and weekends, and that you're able to join us for the matchmaker on the 17th. Thank you so much, Elaine. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Sharon.
Oh, thank you. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody. All righty.